Hey guys, welcome along to another episode of the show. We're diving into more event news from Apple and also your feedback today.
This is Double Tap, where blind people talk tech. Here's Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Hey Shaun Preece, how are you doing this day?
I'm all right, Stephen Scott. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. You know what? I think this is the point where I just want to suggest that we all just shut the doors. We all just sit down, find ourselves a nice drink. I've actually just drunk my coffee. That's a disgrace.
Well, we haven't even started yet.
I know, I've just finished it. I need another one now. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we should just shut the doors, turn off everything else, turn off the noise, turn off social media, and let's just dive into a world of tech for an hour. How do you feel about that?
Yes, I think we all need it. Let's just distract ourselves just for an hour.
Let's just turn off the noise for a little bit and listen to our noise instead. I am going to kick off, though, with a little bit of an announcement from me. I am not happy about something, and I want to talk about it.
Yeah, no breaking news jingle there. Not a surprise.
No, it's an announcement. It's not a breaking news. It's an announcement.
Well,
I don't have
you're
a button for
annoyed
that.
about something.
I
is
am.
not breaking. Okay.
Oh,
All
I
right.
see. I see what you're saying, right. No, do you know what? I don't think we're going to do ever again.
This.
Yeah,
God bless you, Mr. F.
It's been
So
great.
sorry.
Yeah, we've had enough. No, not that. No, I think I'm not going to do an immediate post-event analysis of any event from here on in.
Now, I'm sure we've had this discussion before, and I can guess the reason why, Stephen Scott, but please explain yourself.
Well, I think the problem is everyone's very quick, and we are part of it as well, where we like to jump in and give our initial thoughts. And I think initial thoughts are good. But I think, by the time our show goes to air the next day, so much news has come in, so much updates have come through. And I think, you know what? I think we should just take a beat. I think we should just take a moment, reflect, give it the day, and then come on air the next day. Or I know we were on air yesterday. We were on air with the show, and I understand that as you listen to it, it's going out on the 10th, that particular episode. But we recorded that on the night of the 9th. And so
straight
I think
after the event.
Straight after the event. And I think it's just too soon. I don't think we can know enough. And there's so much news that's come out since. And, I think, especially when people are thinking about purchasing products, you need to know all the facts. You need to know as much as possible. And I don't think instant reaction gives you that. So, we can give our thoughts on the devices for sure, but, and I think we maybe do that on the extra next year. But I think we'll wait a beat. And for Double Tap, we're going to, take a day and just really give us a chance to soak up all the news that's come out, because there is a lot to get through today, which updates us and gives us a much clearer picture as to what this lineup is from Apple. And I think as pre-orders begin opening tomorrow, and I didn't realize this, I was going on to my mobile provider, my cell provider company, saying, well, I didn't say to them because that would be weird, as I'm shouting at the app, where is my iPhone pre-order option here? Then it said, it's not available till Friday at 1. And of course, then I remembered, oh yeah, that's right, it's Friday at 1. At least in the UK, I think it might be earlier in the US and Canada, but essentially you can go in and you can pre-order at that time. So I think, look, if we're going to do this and we're going to provide the best service we can, as people come to us for the news, but they also come to us for purchasing decisions, I think we've got to be fair, and we've got to be considerate of that. So from here on in, no instant reactions. We'll do something on extra, maybe. We'll do like a short kind of here's what we think. But full detail on the main show will come the day after.
Oh, you've just made that decision, have you?
I have.
Okay. It's not a democracy, obviously. Okay, no that's fine.
But what do you think?
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Now you ask me. Oh, okay. Yes, I agree.
There we go. See, and I knew you'd say that, so it's fine.
No, it's true. I think now we've got the extra, we may have a place, or even if we go live somewhere.
We did. We did the preview live, yeah.
Yeah, do the preview. But I mean, just not even for air, or just where people can come and we can listen to the event together, maybe somewhere. I don't know. It's tricky with the copyright of, the actual event audio itself. But yeah, I think you're right, because we get that reaction, but there's so many questions we ask, and it's not until the day after you get even more detail. like you say, like in today's episode, we're going to dig into it a bit more.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance to this because, again, a lot of features get announced. I mean, it's like everyone's very excited about the updates to the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. Version 18.1 of the Meta Ray-Ban glasses is out, and, it promises the calendar integration and the Audible support. Mm-hmm. That's not everywhere. So, in the UK, for example, it took a few days for the Audible support to drop. The calendar support has never turned up yet. So, nope. It's like these announcements come out from a US company, usually focused on US customers, unless specified otherwise. But it's becoming harder to read between the lines on this one, because it used to be they would say this is US only or not, but sometimes they don't even tell you anymore. And you only figure out, I mean, the calendar one did not specify locations. It just said it was going to be available. And I have to say, that's the one feature. Audible, yeah, okay, that's good. I mean, people will enjoy that. But for me, it's the calendar integration. I would love that on my Meta Ray-Bans.
Yeah, I've got neither. I've checked. I've not even got a firmware update. I keep checking. So, hey,
you haven't got it at all?
No, not at all.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
I checked this very morning, Stephen Scott, and still not there. So, yeah. Who knows?
Well, okay, let's dive into iPhone Air is where I'm going to start, because I think, let's be honest, iPhone Pro, Pro Max, we kind of know what we're getting. I saw the usual suspects doing their, well, the only phone you'll want to buy is the iPhone Pro, and I'm like, here we go again. Okay, yes, if you can afford one, that's great. And, does anybody really need a 2 terabyte iPhone Pro Max? I'm going to say...
Someone might.
No, I'm saying
you don't know. Someone may be recording video 24/7.
Yeah, do you know what? And that's the thing. I think the Pro lineup, if you've got the money to buy an iPhone like that, then good for you. You buy one, you enjoy it, you'll have a great phone. But I think the rest of us will probably be a bit more conservative with our thinking in terms of pricing. And, I mean, these phones are becoming extremely expensive now. And so we will be looking for a bargain. And it's interesting because there was I think it was 9to5Mac had published an article all about the iPhones that are now discontinued, which I find hilarious. These phones like the 16 Pro Max that I have here.
Yeah.
And I bought, and people will wonder, well, hang on a minute, if he's always down on the Pro Max, why does he buy one himself? Well, yeah. I actually don't know, to be perfectly honest. I got this originally, I think, for my wife. And then she didn't want the Pro Max, so we got her the Plus in pink. I think the pink had more to do with it than the Plus or Pro, if I'm perfectly honest.
It could have been anything. Could have been an iPhone pink. 5.
Yeah, as long as it was pink. That was all she was bothered about. So, yeah, we got that instead.
All right, Stephen, don't be sexist.
Yeah, well, no, it's just what she wanted. I don't care. What any colour she likes. I don't care. But it was interesting. So I ended up with this 16 Pro Max. To me, it's just too big. I don't like it as a phone. I think it's just far too big. The battery life on it's excellent. Of course, it's got LiDAR.
But that's it,
for
though,
the 3 people that care about that.
You know it's too big. You know the screen size of it. But you say, I'm going to compromise on that, because the battery life is what I'm interested in, isn't it?
Oh, I think it is, yeah.
Is it that much of a hassle for you? Because you do keep complaining about it.
Well, look, again, as I've said a million times, I'm not going to keep repeating it, but, with the hand issues I've got, for some physical issues, that is the biggest bugbear for me. I go into the Apple Store. That makes a difference. Yeah, it does. And, despite the fact that it is definitely lighter than the 15 Pro Max was, being titanium, it's not that light, really, I don't think, if I'm honest. That's for me. And I think a lot of people who've got physical motor conditions will be able to pick up on that and say, yeah, you know what, there are definitely issues here. And it does make me slightly concerned about the iPhone Air, because it's a 6.5-inch screen. So it's not light. It's not small by any stretch. It may be all be light. And it was interesting comparing them. So the iPhone 16e is a 6.1-inch screen. So that's the smallest iPhone now in the lineup. Yeah, that's the smallest you're going to get. I think the
minis have gone.
That's right. And I think the 17's a 6.3, if I remember rightly.
Mm-hmm. 6.3, 6.9.
6.9 for the Pro Max, yeah. So, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, personally, I just want a really small iPhone. And I'm not alone in this. There's lots of people I'm seeing online saying this.
No. They tried it. No one wanted the mini.
Well, that's the problem.
Except for us.
There's not enough people buying them. That is the issue for them. And Shelley Brisbane talked about this with us the other day as well. Just not enough people are wanting that clearly, so it's not worth it for them. The smallest we're going to get is 16e. The question is it valuable to buy a 16e? And part of me felt that, the iPhone Air was possibly the best advert for the 16e. But the issue I have is that it doesn't have MagSafe, and I really want MagSafe. Now, I could buy a case that has MagSafe magnets in it, And that could be my way around it. And I kind of wonder maybe that's the way I should go. Because I really need to spend the money on this really expensive thin light thing. I certainly don't need all the Pro Max features or the Pro features.
That's the question. It's so difficult to say this is the one we recommend, right? Because it does vary depending on your needs. So I honestly don't know. I would argue, do you really need to jump onto the 17 at all? Or
that's my thinking. Yeah, I'm kind of at that point as well.
From even the 15. Because, I would say there's no real urgency for Apple Intelligence yet. There's no killer feature dropped that, okay, this is the time I need it because I want access to that feature. Still say we're not quite there yet. So, yeah, I don't know. It's funny. You mentioned, the sort of knee-jerk reaction to the event. And I was saying, well, the iPhone Air is the only choice out of these. For $150 more, why would I just go for the entry-level iPhone 17? And I'm not going to pay the extras for the Pro, as it doesn't seem to offer me anything other than camera. So why would I? But honestly, thinking about it I've got a 15 Pro, I think.
Yeah.
I don't feel any urgency to update at all.
And this is another aspect to this. We kind of touched on this in the preview event where we had Michael Fearon with us. You don't have to go and buy the latest and greatest. That's the other side of the story. It's like there's an idea that if you don't have the latest... I mean, the only thing I would say is if you want Apple Intelligence, if that's something that you think you want, then really you're at the 15 Pro, which is now defunct. You're not going to get that unless you get a deal on it on Amazon or Best Buy, do a sale or whatever. But, if you're thinking, okay, it's about budget, then 16E is your entry point, I would say, in the current lineup. If you're talking about the official lineup from Apple, 16E is your entry point for that. And, that would give you Apple Intelligence. It's going to give you, a good phone. I say, as I'm thinking about, the MagSafe case gives us MagSafe if I want that, which I would.
Yep.
So
and
what else do I need, realistically? I mean, the camera's good enough for Be My Eyes for Ira. The things that I always think about, and the question I always get asked is the camera any good for Be My Eyes, Ira, OCR, scanning, whatever? Like, yes, on all the range.
For years. Yes.
Yeah, for almost a decade now, they've been more than good enough. So I don't worry about that kind of stuff anymore. For the things I'm doing, I just don't know if I need it. And I think there's a sense of that FOMO that comes along, the fear of missing out. If I don't have the latest and greatest, what will I miss out on? Well, look, battery life is a big deal. But ask yourself the question. I do this all the time. Ask yourself the question, how much, am I out there? Am I out enough to warrant being, having this massive battery in my phone all the time, even if I'm using it to the fullest extent? Am I needing this battery? Could I buy a battery charger, a little MagSafe battery pack to top up the phone if necessary? I carry one with me all the time, just in case. Even with the Pro Max. Now, I don't need it, obviously, with the Pro Max. That's fair enough. But, I've got that. I'm always need a charger. I'm traveling on public transport. There's USB ports on the back of the seats on the bus that I can plug my phone into if it needs a charge. If I'm on a train, I can do the same. I'm never that far away from a charger. So my needs are kind of being presented to me.
Battery life isn't important, Stephen.
I'm not saying it's not important, but
That's
I just think. But I'm thinking if you are going to stretch yourself to spend the money on the iPhone Pro or Pro Max, I think you've really got to ask yourself what it is you're getting, and really ask yourself. I've had the Pro Max, and I'm not doing down LiDAR. If you love it and you use it every day, good for you. I don't know if a lot of people are going to use it every day as much as people say. Because the most people I speak to say, yeah, you know what, I did at the start, don't really use it anymore.
It's so true. You know what, I don't know if it's just the implementation, the way Apple are doing it, like through the magnify. I know you can get a quick shortcut to it. Is it 4-finger? I don't even know what the gesture is. I can't remember now. And that will jump you directly to the LiDAR settings. But yeah, I just never use it. So absolutely the same reason. Now, before I would specifically go for a Pro, yes, because of battery life, but because I want access to that LiDAR. I want to see if there's any third-party apps that are going to take advantage of this. Never happened. Didn't.
No.
So
I just don't get
I agree. That is no longer for me a selling point.
Look, I mean, again, I know I'm might seem like I'm the odd guy to be going after the budget conscious approach here, but I am, because I think again, it's what do you need? It's the same thing. I'm having this debate right now about whether or not I want to update. I'm getting my leases up at the end of the month for my MacBook Pro. Do I need a MacBook Pro? I mean, the things I'm doing, do I actually need a MacBook Pro? I'm told by people in the store, well, you will. Well, of course you're saying that because you want me to buy it. But do I actually need it? Could a MacBook Air do the job? Probably. I think it could for most of the things I'm doing. Absolutely. The M4 MacBook Pro is Air, I should say, is an extremely powerful machine. Way more powerful. I mean, I've got an iMac behind me on the desk. There's an M1 that's running macOS 26 on beta right now. I cannot tell the difference between it and my Mac Studio that's got 96 gig of RAM and all the rest. You just can't, it's like it depends. Of course, it always depends on what you're doing. If I decided tomorrow I wanted to edit Toy Story again, not that I ever did, but if I did then I personally did it. Yeah.
Again.
Then I don't know if the Mac with M1 would do the job, but I'm not going to be doing that.
You haven't pushed it where you've reached the limits, have you? You haven't felt like, okay, I need more here. So and do
any of us really, when you think about it?
Well, yeah, not really. I don't think so. Well, not in our use case. I mean, so many services that we use now as well are web-based, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's took a lot of, it's not like you're running an app locally or things like that. So that's took a lot of performance off the table that I no longer need. So, yeah, I think you're right. The budget is the answer, says Stephen Scott.
No,
breaking news.
I like to be fair around here. I like to be fair and I like to give people the facts, and that's what it's about. So here's the thing. Let's look then at if you were thinking about going down the Pro route, if you said, well, look, I am going to go down the Pro route, but then this Air thing does sound quite cool. What are the key differences? So one thing we talked about just after the event was the new processor, the A19 Pro, which is going into both the iPhone Air and the iPhone Pro models. But there are differences here. Now, there's not a huge amount of detail yet. We're going to have to see benchmark studies on this to know exactly what these differences are between the two, because they're not the same. One key difference, one stat we do have, is the amount of RAM, the amount of memory that is inside each device. In the iPhone Air, it has 8 gig of RAM, and in the iPhone Pro models, 12 gigabyte of RAM. So that's different. There's a definite difference there. There also feels like there's a little bit of throttling going to be going on here in some way, because clearly this device cannot allow itself to get too warm too easily. In fact, they're even reducing via wired charging the charging capability. So I think on the Pro, it's capped out at 40 watt on a wired charge. On the iPhone Air, it's 20 watts. So, you obviously won't charge as fast, in other words, if you're plugged in. Doesn't apply to wireless charging, interestingly, but it does apply. That's usually, I think, only goes up to 25 from memory.
Yeah, that's right. I heard that Apple had there was a 60 watt fast charge option for the Pro. To get it for was it 8 hours in 15 minutes or something like that. But they did specifically mention the 40 watt charger for the fast charging as well. So, but that's understandable. And as I said at the time, they made such a big deal about thermal management on the Pro, changing to aluminium and the vapor chamber and everything like that. And then said, well, it's a A19 Pro, which is the same as in the Air.
Yeah.
So there's got to be differences there, because if that chipset gets that hot and it needs all that different design on the Pro, then what are they doing differently in the thinner Air? Well, the answer is they must have to throttle it in some way. Also, it has one less GPU core.
It does.
As well.
Just one less. Now, that can make a big difference. Not a huge difference, again. I mean, it's again, the same thing when you buy a base model MacBook Air versus buying the model up, which has got that extra core in it, or that extra, whatever it is. It can make a difference. But again, I don't know if most of us would recognize that in our everyday use.
Also, I suppose it depends where you live. I mean, if you live somewhere with sunshine, if such a thing exists, then I don't think I've ever had my phone say overheating. I don't think I've ever had that, but I know people do in different parts.
I had it once in Portugal. I had it where it was literally so warm, and the phone itself said, it's shutting down because of overheating.
Could that become an issue with the Air?
Well, we shall see, right? I mean, it's very clear from what you've been saying, and I'm seeing other commentators saying this as well, that this is just a precursor to the Flip. They're building everything, or the Fold, or whatever it's going to be called.
Fold, yeah.
They're going to build this into, everything into the top part of the phone, and the rest of it is battery, and that'll be split over two components, essentially, that make up the Fold phone. You can see where they're going with all this. It makes total sense. And that shrinking, I mean, it is interesting, though. I mean, the way they've shrunk all this technology down. I was just feeling the side of my Meta Ray-Ban glasses last night, thinking, the size of that camera bump and the size of this Meta Ray-Ban arm on these glasses seems almost similar. And you think, goodness, at some point, you can see that they'll be able to put this technology right into glasses. They're not far away from that.
I think also something else I read that is there's no bottom speaker on this. There's no stereo speakers on the Air.
No. One speaker in the
earpiece speaker only. And that could be a big deal for someone, especially if you've got hearing difficulties. That could be a big deal too.
There are the grills at the bottom of the phone, apparently, but that is for microphones only.
Yeah.
Now, USB-C on this is also slower. Comparative, I think, to the iPhone 16 and the iPhone 16 Plus versus the 16 Pro and Pro Max, where in the Pro range, in the 17s, you've got a USB-C 3 charge or port in there, which can give you up to 10 gigabit speeds, whereas USB-C 2 is inside the Air and also the 17 as well. I would imagine the same is inside the 16E. What do you think real world difference is going to be made there?
Yeah, well, depends on your use case. For most people, won't even notice. Absolutely fine. If you're connecting to your computer to do a secure backup or something like that, you won't notice. But if you're connecting a external hard drive, thanks to USB, a lot of people are doing that now, and you're recording video on there, then you want that speed, which is why I'm guessing the Pro has that faster speed with the ProRes video format, huge files. That makes sense. But yeah, I think that's fair enough. Most people aren't going to care about that when they're moving files across.
And in terms of those speakers, or the mono speaker you talk about, you can, of course, get stereo audio out of this, but you'd have to plug in a pair of USB-C headphones or use AirPods to get that stereo audio. So that might make a big deal for some people. It will have an impact, I imagine, on voiceover sound, I guess, coming out of the phone. It's not going to maybe sound quite as rich as perhaps it would have from previous phones.
Not. Yeah, I'm really interested to hear what the audio quality is like from the Air, because it's such a... it's so jam-packed in there. It's so thin that obviously the speakers are going to suffer. It's something I didn't think about, but yeah, absolutely. If you're using it outside, as I said, I barely use any headphones anymore. So if you're using it outside and you're struggling to hear it, that's going to be a problem.
And of course, that means kind of flip side to that with the microphones is you're not getting those studio quality microphones that you will get again in the Pro range. So that's something else to consider. Now, again, I don't know how that necessarily translates with the iPhone 17. It's interesting. All of this seems to point to the 17 being the better choice. If you're talking budget, right? If we're talking budget, not versus Pro.
Definitely. Yeah. The only thing, you're getting the same screen across all of them, from the start to the Pro. Same screen. Obviously, in our case, we don't really care about that, but it's important to know. You're getting the same front-facing camera sensor, which is really cool, with the center stage, landscape, automatic landscape or portrait sensing. That's across the whole range. So the only thing you're really choosing between is the price and the form factor.
Yeah,
I can't think of anything else.
Yes, I mean, and one other thing to mention that came out of all of this was the MagSafe battery pack that they've brought out for the iPhone Air. Only works with the iPhone Air. Now, that sounds a little bit like Apple jargon at first, but the people who were actually there, the people who were reviewing and having hands-on afterwards, the journalists who were playing with the phones, were saying, no, the reason being is because the design of it only fits the size of the iPhone Air. It won't fit on the back of an iPhone Pro or 17 Pro, or I imagine a 17 either. So that's kind of interesting that they've done it that way. I mean, I don't know what to think of that. I don't know if I like this at all, or whether, because bear in mind, this is the first one they brought out with USB-C. They had a version of this before they discontinued that was
you mean
that
the
had
charging
the Lightning port
pack itself?
Yeah, the actual MagSafe battery pack. So this is the first time that they brought one out since. Some people are doing some ridiculous stuff online, like, turn it to the side and it can fit on any phone, and, you can plug it in via USB-C.
It's MagSafe, so who cares? You just stick it on any old way, surely. You know what? I think this is a non-story. I don't care if it's only for the iPhone Air, because give it 3 months and every third-party, charger manufacturer out there is going to have.
Do you think that's why they've done it that way? Do you think they've just said, well, you know what, the third-party accessory market will pick up on this anyway?
Yeah, probably. I mean, Apple do whatever Apple wants to do, right? I don't understand quite the reasoning behind it. It could have been made universal quite easily.
I think it points to the fact the battery on the iPhone Air is not going to be as good as on the other devices, because it's almost like saying, well, look, you don't need it for the iPhone 17 Pro, and you don't even need it for the iPhone 17, but you will need it for the Air, because, you never know when this battery might just die off on you. I don't know if it's a good look, actually. I think they could have hidden the fact the battery wasn't quite as great by making it more of a universal design. It's kind of amplified the fact this battery is clearly needed for this phone, hence why it's been created for it.
Well, you could argue, Apple's all about the design, that they designed it so it doesn't spoil the aesthetic or the feel of the iPhone Air. I have no idea what it looks like. I don't know, but I'm assuming it fits in perfectly with the design and doesn't make it like you've got a big lumpy
well, apparently it's thicker than the bump at the back. So when it's actually on the back, they say that it will stick out further.
Oh, well, that's terrible. That's just destroyed my argument.
I will say, for some people, I personally don't care, but there are a lot of people who are saying that the design of it on the back, they're saying Steve Jobs would be horrified because of
say that all the time.
The way that the curve is not quite right, on the camera bump in relation to the curve
the camera bump on every iPhone for as long as I can remember has just been an absolute why. You put it down and your phone just jiggles about because it's not symmetrical. I mean, even if it was just cosmetic reasons, the camera bar goes all the way across, like on some Pixel phones, by the way, it'd make more sense. I just find it so strange, that camera bump. It's just terrible looking.
Listen, we're going to talk about AirPods and an Apple Watch as well, because there's some updates to share with you there, which may affect your purchasing decisions. I think certainly when it comes to the watch, but I will say when it comes to the phone, I think, I go back to the 16E as a value. I would say a great value phone. I think 17 though might be the winner. That might be my blind iPhone of choice. When you weigh it all up, you weigh it up, you get the MagSafe on there, you've got, a good screen, you've got good battery. I don't know. When I add it all up, and you've got, the dual camera system, which if you really want, photographs and all the rest of it on top, you're getting all that built in at a much lower cost than paying for the Air and the Pro. I mean, look, once we get hands-on, we actually try these things, we can talk more effectively on it. But, the 16 has been a great phone for me. I've really liked it. And, going back to it from the 16 Pro Max, it's a dream to pick up in terms of weight. So, I kind of think 17, maybe that's my future. I don't know. Anyway, stick around. We're going to dive into the Apple Watch and the AirPods next. This is Double Tap. Double Tap thanks Turtleback Cases for supporting this podcast and for their decades-long commitment to the blind and low vision community. Since 2003, Turtleback has been the original name behind protective leather cases for note-takers, trusted by thousands and designed with real feedback from real users. Made in the USA, their cases are rugged, ergonomic, and built to last. They offer custom-fitted protection for devices like the Victor Reader Stream 3, Blindshell Classic 3, Mantis Q40, Sense Player, Orbit Reader 20, Focus 40, Braille eMotion, and more. Use promo code DT12 for 12% off your entire order. And yes, they ship worldwide via FedEx, complete with tracking. Visit turtlebacklv.com to see the full lineup.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback@doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Okay, let's dive back in then and talk more about the updates to the Apple devices this time around. Pretty much refreshing all of the Apple Watch range range as well. AirPods gets a big update this year. Slightly new design. They're saying that the AirPods 3, the AirPods Pro 3, will be slightly smaller than the AirPods Pro 2 in terms of the design. They're also talking about battery life being a big thing here. So 8 hours on one charge. So, end to end 8 hours plus 10 hours if you're using transparency mode, which is pretty cool. Although there have been reports that the battery case is actually a smaller battery inside. So you actually, where on the AirPods Pro 2 case you would get 30 hours total overall, you're now getting 24 hours from that battery case. So they've trimmed back the battery, but they're giving you more battery life per charge. So that's interesting.
Well, the rumours before the event were that it was going to be a much smaller case. Did that turn out to be true? I don't know.
I haven't seen anything about the case itself. I mean, it's not exactly a big case by any stretch of the imagination. So, that's I guess
24 hours is more than adequate, I've got to say. And plus, like with the iPhones, the fast charging, charge it for 5 minutes and get another whatever, how many hours it is, it's fine. The battery isn't a problem, I think, on the AirPods.
Couple of new features coming, of course, the heart rate sensor. That is definitely something which is unique to the AirPods Pro 3, and I say that for a reason, rather pointedly, which I'll come back to in a minute. But that heart rate sensor is inside the AirPods Pro 3 only, so if you want that functionality, and I think it's a good piece of functionality to have because a number of new Apple Fitness workouts will be able to be started without having an Apple Watch now, which I think is a good thing. You don't have to have the watch on.
Of course.
Or even have a watch at all.
So many people don't have the Apple Watch. I don't have a need for an Apple Watch. I've heard that many times. And, well, okay. Now you can just use these and still have access to the fitness apps. It's cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. One feature, though, that is kind of been presented as this new thing, and this is what Apple does. They do it very well. They announce a new feature, and you kind of get dragged into, again, this is the importance of having a few days or a day to really soak in this information. You get the idea that this is only coming to this new device. Live translation is one of those features. So live translation is this new way to talk to people and have a conversation with someone and hear them, essentially dulled down with a voice saying what that person's saying in your language and vice versa. Great feature. And no doubt it will be enhanced inside the AirPods Pro 3 because, they're saying that the audio quality is improved. The active noise cancellation is improved up to 2 times. But the live translation feature is also going to be available on the AirPods Pro 2. So important to know that. That is, if that's something that you are upgrading for, you already have the AirPods Pro 2, you don't need that function. Or you don't need to buy the new AirPods for that function.
Yeah, it's not exclusive to the latest ones. Yeah, which is, I think, really important to make clear because there's people out there who may say, I want to update purely for this one feature. And, well, actually, it's coming to the AirPod Pro 2s anyway. So, yeah, that live translation is always one of those, this is a cool technology moments as well. And the fact that you can already get it on technology you may already own, good to know.
Which is, I know they want to sell new AirPods, right? But I'm like, you know what? I would also shout about the fact this is coming to those other devices as well because it's a free upgrade for anyone who's got that. So I would champion that, actually. I think it's a great thing. So, again, if you're looking to upgrade, for me, it's about the heart rate sensor. I think that's a really great function to have. I am keen to hear what the new ANC is like as well. The active noise cancellation, here how improved it is, because honestly, I don't know how they could improve on that. I think
it's amazing as it is.
I think the one thing I would say, though, is it would be nicer, and I think this is the thing that's kind of drawing me to it. When you're having a conversation with someone with transparency mode on, and I have done this many times, sometimes you don't always want to take your earpods out, especially on a train or a plane, as Shelley was saying the other day. You drop it, it's gone, right? So, to avoid that, I just keep them in and I just have the conversation via transparency mode. And it is sometimes quite hard to hear your own voice when you're kind of struggling to hear yourself. It's quite muffled. And I'm wondering if this will be improved in the AirPods Pro 3. Because I certainly find hearing from other people I find okay, but my own voice, I struggle to hear it, So maybe that'll improve.
I might try that. Oh, wait.
What, cutting me out?
Yeah. Stephen's
doesn't work that
noise
way around.
cancellation.
It's only yourself it cuts out. You should wear mine. That's how solve the problem.
I am wearing yours. I haven't noticed that, but I don't use them very often, as I keep saying. So no, that is a good point, because if they're in, I don't want to take them out because I may drop them. So yeah, that's a very good point.
Oh, I've just noticed in my notes here, I meant to mention this, talking of live translation, that will also be coming to the AirPods 4 as well.
Yes.
So you're going to get that on both devices. A lot of people forget about the AirPods 4. Again, it's a slightly cheaper version, cheaper way of getting into the AirPods world. You're getting a little bit of active noise cancellation. I'd say about 50% of active noise cancellation compared to the AirPod Pro 2s, and probably more on the 3s. So, it's not quite as closed off.
Well, there's two versions of the AirPod 4s, isn't there? With ANC and without.
Yes, that's right.
So, yeah, you can get even cheaper if you don't really care about ANC. I think the other thing with the AirPod Pro 3s, the latest ones, a smaller design and an extra ear tip, a smaller ear tip. I mean, because I know lots of people have said, I just couldn't get them. They didn't fit right, the AirPod Pros. So there may be another reason to try them out, at least, that they may actually fit better for people who had problems before.
Yeah. It's so interesting, isn't it? With all these different updates that are coming along, we kind of forget how good the stuff is we already have.
Yeah.
That's the
exactly.
That's the thing, it always kind of gets us wrapped up in this idea that we have to find our way to buy the latest and greatest thing. I mean, look, of course I'm keen on the AirPods Pro 3. I really am. I think there's some great functionality going to be in there. But I often think what blows me away is what they're able to achieve with such small devices. Kind of makes you wonder where it's all going to go in the future, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that they've now added the heartbeat sensor in there. And, we've already heard rumors about what they're going to put in for the next ones. So, it's an interesting time, definitely. And that miniaturization that they had to do for the Air. I mean, it's all pointing to, again, I always keep coming back to the smart glasses. I think that's what everything seems to be pointing towards.
Let's talk about the Apple Watch, because the Apple Watch, of course, is, a very popular device among many people. It certainly is one of the more popular smartwatches out there. I don't know how popular it is in our community. I've often wondered that. Everyone seems to talk about the phone and talk about maybe AirPods or HomePods, but I don't hear as much talk around the watch. When we talk about it, we often say, oh, it's great, but I don't really know what I do with it, but, it's great. And I get really excited about it and then think, yeah, but what do I do with it? And it's funny, this time around I was thinking, do I even want to bother with certainly an upgrade, or, what I've got, do I even just want to trade in entirely? And if I do want a watch, I'll just buy an SE. Well, having a look at some of the options, there was a few things I want to bring up. So Series 11 is the one that I was kind of looking at in particular because of this hypertension notification that was going to be built into it. And that sounded great. However, I have found out that the Series 9, the Series 10, and the Ultra Watch 2 will all have that hypertension notification coming in soon as well. Now, this is not going to be available immediately by all accounts. This has to be approved by the FDA first. They're saying that should be done within the month. So maybe by the end of the month, this will happen and it will be available and rolled out. But essentially, that hypertension notification, the sensor that's obviously picking that up and pulling that information in, is inside the 9, the 10, and the Ultra Watch 2. So if that was a reason to upgrade, if you've got a 9 or a 10 or an Ultra Watch 2, you don't need to upgrade for that.
I am so surprised by that. I'm shocked, to be quite honest with you. I thought maybe it was the same sensor by the way they explained how they're taking the measurements for that hypertension by watching how blood vessels react or something. So I know they already had that for I'm assuming it's the same sensor they use for blood oxygen censoring as well. So I kind of get it, but I thought they would have made that exclusive. That's quite shocking.
Are you shocked by that?
I am. No, honestly, I am, because you know what Apple are like, and I'm not just going to blame Apple. Lots of companies will do this, make this feature locked to the latest gen, even though older technology may be able to do it, performance-wise. But this is the reason to go for that. And that's exactly what I thought at the time. The Series 11, the latest Apple Watch, with I'm going to just call it blood pressure monitoring. You know what? I would go for that. It's purely for that reason. But now I know it's on the others as well. Takes that away.
Yeah.
Takes the reason away. Yeah.
It does. I mean, I have to be honest, I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to buy this. That'll be for me. Yeah. I don't think I'll be bothering too much. I'm certainly not that keen on it now. I mean, I think, I've got a Series 10. I've also got an Ultra Watch too. So both of them, I can have hypertension from each wrist.
Well, yeah. Also
stereo hypertension.
Having to wait for, the whatever medical board legislation to pass the technology as fit for use. That's also for the Series 11 as well. So that's not just the 9 and 10 you're going to have to wait to get this feature. Also the Series 11. Depends on what country you're in. I mean, we had the blood oxygen monitoring before the US, I believe, because it didn't pass.
That's right,
but it did here in the UK. So, yeah, no matter what hardware you've got, you still got to wait for your country to pass the medical side of censoring.
So there's two other things then. So, okay, the reasons for upgrading. Two reasons really stand out. One is battery life, because they're saying it's improved and you'll get all-day battery life. I love when they say that, because that can mean anything to anybody, frankly.
As long as you don't look at it or move your wrist.
As long as you're only awake 5 hours a day, you'll be fine. No, I mean, who knows, right? But all-day battery life is what they say. Although, and I will say the Series 10 battery was not the best. So moving up to Series 11 with all-day battery does sound pretty good. Yeah, I wasn't very impressed with the Series 10 battery, which was partly why I got the Ultra 2.
That was the first one with the new, slightly thinner design, right? And
That's
the
right.
11 is even thinner than that, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, certainly, if the battery's improved, that's a reason to consider. But again, you have to ask yourself that question. How far am I away from a charger? If you want to wear your watch all the time and get the sleep notifications and all the rest, then, yeah, you're going to have to think about that. You're going to think about your options. Maybe you look down the Ultra route, but I don't know.
It doesn't quite work the same as with your smartphone, no, especially now the iPhone moved to USB. There's always a charger around. You can share an Android user's charger or whatever. With the Apple Watch, slightly different. You can't just plug it into anything. You need the special Apple Watch.
And you've got to wait, and you've got to take it off to do that. That's
and you got to take it off to do it. You got to wait around. You can't do it on the go. So there is a slight difference there.
So battery life is important. Okay, so we'll give it that.
Thank you.
5G. No.
Yeah, don't care.
Yeah, I was like, on a watch? I mean, I'm not downloading Netflix movies onto a watch, so do I care about 5G on there? I don't know. I mean, again, down the line, this might be a bigger deal when we have an improved Siri and we're, using AI more on there. I think potentially, but I don't know. Now, here's the interesting thing, and this is really important. If 5G means a lot to you and it's your reason to buy, and you live in Canada, forget it. It ain't coming to Canada. So Apple Watches with 5G support will only work on 4G in Canada. Listen, this is down to carriers. This is down to the carriers themselves having to implement technology to do that, and they haven't done it yet. But being very clear, Mobile Syrup reporting this today, that if you are going to buy an Apple Watch Series 11 for 5G, forget it. It's not going to happen. I think that's 5G on the SE3 as well, I think. And obviously on the Ultras. So if you're in Canada, you're not going to get that functionality. So a reason against it.
So important to know that up front.
Yeah.
But how many people are going to be buying it for 5G? But it is still important to know.
Okay, I want to mention some other things. I've got my notes here. HomePods are getting a couple of updates next week. Of course, this is all part of the OS 26 range update across the board, which they will be out on the 15th of September. So Monday, mark in your calendar, is your update day. Or if you're blind, wait a month. Unless, of course, you're like me and have gone ahead with the betas already and you're living a life of misery.
I believe it's a day later outside of the US.
Oh, is it?
I believe so. I keep seeing different dates for this, by the way.
It might be the time. It might be based on the time.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Because, I saw that the Meta Connect keynote with Mark Zuckerberg is going to be on 17th of September at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's like middle of the night for us.
But yeah, and you'll still be up.
Absolutely, I'm still going to be up. But I mean, it's the middle of the night. What on earth is going on there? They normally do these things in the morning.
It's a disgrace. I shall be writing a letter.
I'm going to write a very strongly worded letter and probably delete it. So yeah, HomePod's getting a couple of new features, and this applies to the HomePod Big second generation, and the HomePod minis. We haven't seen a new generation of those yet, but fingers crossed it'll come. Apple Crossfade is one of the features that's coming. Now, this is something that's been in the iPhone for a while. It means you can play your music and it can crossfade from one track into the other, kind of like a DJ mix kind of thing. It makes it a much nicer, seamless playlist listening experience. It's never worked on the HomePods at all, but it will be working on the HomePods. It doesn't work over Bluetooth, apparently. You have to do it over AirPlay, essentially. So that's something. And also to mention AirPlay update as well. So this is actually quite cool. Before, you could, if you had multiple HomePods around your home, you could say to it, if I'm playing music on Apple Music, I could say move it to another room. Or I could say play in the kitchen or add the kitchen to this listening experience or whatever. But now you can do it with any AirPlay audio. So whatever you're playing, be it Spotify, whether you're playing something from YouTube and you're bouncing it to your HomePod, you can use those same commands to apply to that audio as well. You couldn't do that before. So that's a new feature that's coming.
That's very cool. I don't find myself using AirPlay, very often at all, but then I'm not invested in the Apple ecosystem as much as someone like you. Do you ever play your Mac audio through your HomePods? Do you AirPlay it out?
No, I tend to do my phone. Phone audio tends to be where I go. So I sit downstairs, I've got 2 HomePods in the living room, and I just bounce the music to those. It's very pleasant. And of course the great thing is because
amazing.
Yeah, and the voiceover stays on the phone, right? So it's brilliant. You can just...
Yeah.
It doesn't appear on buses or anything like that.
Okay, yeah, well, there's nothing to, no reason there that blows me away for those updates. Anything else?
No, I thought I'd mention it because it's coming.
It's good to know. Yep.
And like I say, these updates will all drop on the 15th or 16th, depending on where you are in the world. So yes, that is the updates. So I just think it's important that we kind of round that up for people because if you're making buying decisions based on all this, it's good to know the facts. It's good to know the detail. I have to say, looking, from afar now, and I think a couple of days to soak all this in, I don't know if I'm as keen to make any major moves. I think on the iPhone front, if I wanted to do an upgrade, the 17 is looking the most attractive to me. It seems like the one I shouldn't go for, but it absolutely feels like the right one to go for.
Why does it seem like that? That's
because of where they place it in the range. It's like the 16E. It's like, I feel I should buy better than that. And it's like, but then when you think about it, it's like, is there better than that? What am I not getting? Of course it is.
Everyone wants to go for the middle option, right? I don't want to pay too much and I don't want to go budget. So I'll go for the middle option, which in this point is the iPhone Air. I'm not sure. You know what, though? It's so funny you saying all this. You wait till you get your hands on it in an Apple store. I wonder if that's just going to change. Everything, all your reasoning and logic may go out of the window. You go, you know what? This feels lovely.
Which is often the way, right? That's often the problem. You get hands on. I mean, look, my wife was ready to drop money on the Vision Pro, after she saw it. She was like, this is amazing. I love this. I want this. And I'm like, yeah, but, you're not going to be able to do anything with it. So what are you playing at? It's not going to work. It's a beautiful device, but what am I going to do with it? Okay, so let's talk about some other news because there's a couple of things to mention. Spotify now offering lossless streaming. They've been offering this or teasing this for years. And finally, they're making it available. It is going to be part of the premium tier. So if you're on Spotify Premium and you're paying for that, you'll get this lossless option added on as a beautiful extra, even though you're already paying for it. So, there you go. Does that appeal to you, Shaun Preece?
I challenge anyone to notice a difference between standard audio streaming and lossless audio streaming. I challenge anyone. Okay, maybe if you got something like what are they called? The AirPod Maxes or some premium headset, maybe. But even then, I don't think most people, I think it's all placebo. There, I've said it.
Well, I have to say, when it comes to Bluetooth audio, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's not as
even wired. I'm not convinced even wired in, you would notice a difference.
I don't know if it matters as much as it used to. I was very much of the type, that wanted everything to be full WAV audio or FLAC or whatever. It always had to be the best.
Totally uncompressed.
Yeah. And honestly, now I just think, I put on the radio, I listen to music at 128 kilobits MP3. I still sing along with the song. I don't think it's any less than. I don't care as much, I know there's audiophiles out there who get really obsessed about this stuff, and that's fair enough.
It depends. There is different. When I'm out walking the dog, I don't care. I'm listening on my Ray-Ban. Still sounds good enough, right? It sounds
and it's
great.
Not great. I mean, it's not. That's not concert quality, CD quality. Of course it's not, right?
It's fine. But then
It's
if I'm
speakers
sitting
flying
down,
out of, audio flying out of the arms of glasses into the midair.
But at the same time, if I buy a new pair of headphones or a new set of speakers, I'll go back to those classic albums and I will listen again. And I'm listening out for that. I've never heard it like that before, or that's a new sound I haven't heard before. That's a different experience. And in that case, maybe. And I want to have the best quality possible. But as I said, even then, I don't think the difference in bit rates, for most people, they wouldn't notice.
Well, I can tell you, sad news, if you're in Canada, not happening.
What's happening in Canada?
It's rolling out in the US first and some territories, but Canada will not be one of them at launch. So, yeah.
You're not missing anything. Don't worry about it.
Sean says it's fine, so don't worry about it.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Sean says it's fine. I want to talk about 16.1, another update for Talkback, and getting some new functions. Small incremental updates, but these might be rather impactful, I think. One being around Gemini itself. You'll get more opportunity to get better responses from Gemini for things like asking questions about scenes, pictures you've taken, essentially. So getting descriptions of images that you feed to Gemini, and also screen descriptions as well. So you're going to get better responses, so it says, through Ask Gemini. And from
better in what way?
Well, I guess perhaps this all comes into prompting, I think. It's the people who say, can I just use ChatGPT to get my images described? And it's like, yeah, you can, but what you're really doing then is kind of trying to replicate what Be My Eyes and Ira with Access AI have done in terms of that engineering of the prompts. You can try and do it, but you're not going to beat them at this, because that's what they're doing. You're not going to beat this on your own, in your bedroom when these guys have brought in developers to do it.
I'm always just, give me that in more detail, or after the initial description, give me more detail about this object.
The prompting specifically is around, obviously, us being blind, what we can or can't see. That's the detail. I mean, these prompts are not just give me a description of this image.
No.
It's way more than that, right? So, I just think it's really important that people understand that. So, yeah, in Gemini, they're obviously, that prompt engineering is going on in the background. They're tuning it for this particular function within Talkback, which I think is really cool. So they've obviously improved that, which is good. Also, they are bringing a feature, it's not as much a feature, but they're improving what they're calling the ability to reduce delays in announcements from the screen. Now, this has been a big bugbear for many Android users, me in particular, for many, many years, which is you sometimes press the screen, you don't always get that instant feedback, that instant reaction. It feels like it's delayed. It feels like it's not quite responding. As you move around the screen, as you touch the screen, it's not reacting as quickly as perhaps it should. And it's not that there's any, and there's been lots of question marks around, is it the screen that's the issue? Is it the software that's the issue? Well, now they're actually bringing in reduced delay, so you can actually have some control over how responsive that screen is when you touch it. In typing, for example, they're getting that delay down to 0.15 seconds. So that's pretty
instant.
Pretty instant.
I don't think you're going to notice much of a difference there. I notice it's funny. I notice it in the pin entry screen. It just seems so hit and miss, and that's on Pixel phones and the Samsung Galaxy S. What was that last one I used? 22, 23. It's not a performance thing. It's definitely a software thing. But other than that, I don't really notice an issue. But okay. Well, faster is always better. We all know that.
And it could make the big difference here when you're using the device. It could really feel like it speeds up Talkback.
Well, it's nothing worse than Bluetooth lag when you've got a pair of Bluetooth headphones on. It drives you absolutely crazy. So, cool.
And customizing Braille shortcuts as well. So, again, they're improving on the Braille side of things.
Oh, good.
So, be able to customize shortcuts there for Braille commands to do.
Was that not already in there? I thought they had the customized Braille commands already.
So. Or, again, maybe they're adding to it. They certainly seem to be adding a lot more to, because what I did read as well was there's a new key map that's coming in as well, which will replace the existing one on the phone, which will give you more customizable functions. So
cool.
That's great. That is really, really good. Lots going on in this amazing space that is technology. It's been kind of nice hanging out for the hour and just geeking out on some stuff.
Is that it?
I know. I was kind of hoping we'd get into some feedback today.
Yeah.
But we've run out of time.
Oh, no. Well, it was important information. And you know what? I think you're right. I think next time, let's just let it digest for a day and come back to it.
Yeah, there's so much that comes out on the days after that actually, do you know what? It's worth waiting a beat rather than let's try and be first or let's try and get in here and let's give instant reaction. It's not really giving you the best, I don't think. So we're going to improve on that, and we're going to do that next time, especially for the events coming up as well. We're going to have plenty of live event previews and all kinds of stuff, and we will do reaction, but I think when it comes to the main show, we're going to take a beat and just give you as much information as we can. And look, more information is going to come out, of course, because once we get hands-on with these things, whether we're in the store or whether Apple send us anything. Hi, Apple, how you doing? Going to send us anything
we're
this
still
year?
here.
Still get your 16 if you want it. So, happily,
That's good of you.
Happily replace it with something else if you want. That would be cool. So, yeah, we'll definitely dive into all of that in the coming days. Speaking of which, we're going to be having our Double Tap Extra this weekend with Michael Fear. We were hoping to have Michael Babcock with us. I meant to mention this on the show. Michael couldn't join us for the event, the post-event, because his power had gone out. Power and internet had gone, so he couldn't join us for the episode, but he will be joining us. He now has power back, so he's all fine, and he's going to join us for a bit of a recap from their perspective. We've given our thoughts and we've put out the facts, but, what are the two Michaels now thinking? Michael Fear was with us, of course, author of the Personal Power Books. He was joining us for our special live preview that we did on our live stream, but we will be doing this again for the extra podcast and giving their reaction to the events. So, check that out. That will be available in the Double Tap Extra podcast, which, you should check out because we do drop things along the way. So, generally, we put episodes out on a Saturday, but, keep checking in.
You never know. A little Easter egg in there for you all.
A little Easter egg around...
now I'm hungry.
Yeah. Well, it is the end of showtime. Look, we're back tomorrow. We're definitely getting into feedback tomorrow. That's it. No more news. Let's get into feedback tomorrow. We'll do that. Catch us for that. And, of course, check out doubletaponair.com for more. That is it from us today, though. Shaun Preece, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.